Hello and a very warm welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing the humble silver Britannia, as well as taking a look at how it compares to some of the other standard bullion available. But before I go into any further detail, I would just like to say a massive thank you to the sponsor of this video, Cardiff Gold, who are a wonderful bullion dealer based out of Cardiff in Wales. If you haven't already done so, I highly recommend checking out their website, a link to which will be listed in the description of this video. But with that being the case, and without any further ado, let's get on with the show. Okay, so if we start off by taking a quick look at the obverse of the coin, we can see that it shows the standard Martin Jennings depiction of King Charles III, who sits upon a background of tincture lines, one of the many security features adopted by the Royal Mint and used on these coins. Around that we can see a legend that reads Charles III, DG Rex FD £2, which of course is abbreviated Latin and would translate to Charles III by grace of God, King, Defender of the Faith, £2. Just below the truncation of King Charles's neck, we can see the initials of the artist, MJ, standing for Martin Jennings. Around the edge of the coin we have a pattern that reminds me somewhat of the matriculations found upon the top of the castle wall. It has a reeded edge which would traditionally be used as a counter-clipping measure, stopping people from being able to clip just a little bit of silver from the edge of each coin, thus amounting a larger pile over time. And if we flip the coin horizontally, we can see an absolutely stunning depiction of Lady Britannia, who stands amongst the waves with trident held out in one hand and Union Jack shield and olive branch in the other. As usual, we can find Lady Britannia dressed in traditional Romanesque military garb, and she once again is sat upon a background of tincture lines, this time in the shape of a wave, signifying Britannia ruling the waves. At the bottom left corner of the coin we can see the predominant security feature used by the Royal Mint, which is the holographic padlock, which would change from a trident to a padlock depending on which angle you look at the coin from. Around the portrait of Britannia we have some micro engraving which reads Deus et Tutemen, which of course is Latin and would translate to an ornament and a safeguard. The legend around the coin reads Britannia 2024, 1 ounce, 999, fine silver. It really is a truly stunning coin when it comes to standard Britannias, but with that being the case, let's have a look at some of the other coins that are available to purchase. First off, we have the Armenian NOS Ark, aka the 500 dram, which shows a beautiful depiction of Noah sailing his ark with the sun rising above Mount Ararat in the background and the dove carrying the olive branch in the foreground. We can see a legend that reads Noah's Ark, and having a quick look at the obverse, we can see the coat of arms for Armenia with the denomination of 500 dram just below it. Once again, this is a lovely coin. It's somewhat reminiscent of a proof coin with the mirrored finish of the background and the Armenian coat of arms in a frosted finish. Next up, we have the Austrian Philarmonic, which has a beautiful depiction of various orchestral instruments at the bottom, and above that a legend that reads Wiener Philharmonica. The rim of the coin is plain or smooth, and if we flip it horizontally we can see an equally stunning depiction of a pipe organ. A lot of people mistake this for being a Romanesque building, which I can completely understand, but no, this is actually a pipe organ. Above that we can see a legend that reads Republic Österreich, and below that we can see that it reads 1 unser fine silver, 1.50 euro 2022. Again, this is one of my favourite coins. I am a big fan of the Philharmonic. I'm not massively a fan of a plain edge. It makes it look a little bit unfinished to me. But even still, as I say, it's a very nice coin and definitely one of my favourite world bullions. Next up we have the Australian Kangaroo. This one's showing the 6th and final depiction of Queen Elizabeth II to be used on Australian coinage. Around here we can see a legend that reads Elizabeth II, Australia, $1. There is a radial border around Queen Elizabeth, and it has once again a reeded edge, which as stated before would traditionally act as a counter-clipping measure. On the reverse of the coin we can see an Australian Kangaroo with a legend around it reading Australian Kangaroo 2022, 1 ounce, 9999 silver. The Kangaroo is set upon a radial background, and I must be honest, this is probably my least favourite of the coins I'll be showing today. It's a nice design of the Kangaroo, I just find the coin in its entirety to be a little bit busy, and it does pull focus from the depiction of a kangaroo. In fact, I can find it very difficult to actually read the words that are on the legend of the coin due to the pattern of the background that we have on this coin. That being the case, that is the Australian Kangaroo. Okay, so now we're going to be moving on to the top 3 competitors, in my opinion, to the Silver Britannia. The first of which is the South African Krugerrand, with an obverse as designed by artist Otto Schultz, showing Paul Kruger, who was the president of the South African Republic between 1883 and 1900. Around him we have the legend of Zuid-Afrika and the translation on the right hand side of South Africa. On the edge of the coin we can see lots of little teeth, which once again would traditionally act alongside the reeded edge as a counter-clipping measure. Taking a look at the reverse of the coin, we can see the depiction of a beautiful pronking springbok, which is a type of antelope. Above that we can see that it reads Krugerrand with the year astride it of 2022, and below that the legend reads Fine silver 1 ounce, fine silver R1. Once again, it has lots of little teeth around the edge. Again, this is an absolutely beautiful coin with a very interesting security feature. Many of you may not be aware of this. I actually only became aware of this very recently myself. But if you look very, very closely at the depiction of an African plain at the bottom of the antelope, right here on the left-hand side, just below the antelope's leg, we have in micro engraving the word Krugerrand across the mountain range. Again, a very well hidden security feature, so well hidden in fact that I was completely unaware of it until somebody brought it to my attention in one of my recent stack chats. But that being the case, that is the South African Krugerrand. Next up, we have another fan favourite, which is the Canadian maple leaf, and there are absolutely no points in guessing why it's called such, because there in the middle of the coin, set upon a background of radial lines, we can see a beautiful depiction of a Canadian maple leaf, with another maple leaf just below it acting as the privy mark. Above that we can see that it reads Canada, and astride the maple leaf either side it says 9999. Below that it reads Fine silver 1 ounce, argent pure. It once again has a reeded edge, which as stated would traditionally act as a counterclipping measure. The obverse, as designed by Susanna Blunt, shows a beautiful depiction of Queen Elizabeth II, once again set upon a background of radial lines with a legend that reads Elizabeth II, $5 2021. You cannot deny that these are absolutely beautiful coins, and I can completely understand why they are many people's favourite standard bullion. And finally, to compare against the Britannia, we have what many people consider to be the best standard bullion coin available, and that is of course the Mexican Libertad, with a beautiful depiction of winged liberty in the foreground and the city of Mexico behind her in the background. Above her we can see the legend that reads 1 onza plata pura 2019 ley .999, with the mint mark for Mexico OM just there. Once again, this coin has a reeded edge, and if we take a quick look at the obverse of the coin, we can see that it shows the current national coat of arms for Mexico in the centre, with a legend around it reading Estados Unidos Mexicanos. Around that we can see the previous coat of arms for Mexico running around the coin in a clockwise fashion. As I say, this is many people's favourite standard bullion coin, and I can completely see why it definitely is one of my favourites myself. But how do they compare to this coin right here, the standard British Britannia? Now that's a question that you can only really answer for yourself. This is very subjective and would go down to personal preference. One thing I can say is the Britannia stands out clearly amongst the rest, if only in one place, and that is the security features found on this coin. We have the tincretic lines on the background, we have micro engraving, we have holographic images. I mean, this coin is literally jam-packed with security features. I would personally say you would find it extremely difficult to counterfeit one of these coins due to the sheer number of security features that have been implemented onto the coin. However, that being said, it does have its own drawbacks, one of which I've mentioned earlier in this video. They are pretty well renowned for milk spotting. Now, we have seen some of the other coins I've showed you today have also been milk spotted, so milk spotting is something that can affect all silver. It's just that the Royal Mint coins seem to have a little bit more of a problem with milk spotting than other mints do. One mint I would like to mention is the Canadian Mint, who also had problems with milk spotting all the way up to 2018, but they implemented changes which seem to have really helped reduce the amount of milk spotting found on their coins. One of the worst spotted coins I've shown today is the Australian Kangaroo. So again, it's not something that is just an issue for the Britannia, it is something that does affect all silver bullion coins. It's just, as I say, unfortunately the Britannias are pretty renowned for their milk spotting issues. If we look at the design, I actually personally think this has a beautiful design to it. I really am a fan of the Lady Britannia stood amongst the waves with her trident and shield, as well as olive branch to symbolise peace in hand. It really sits very well to the background of the coin, and I truly do believe this is one of the most beautiful standard bullion coins available on the market. Whether or not you agree would be down to yourself, but please definitely let me know in the comments of this video which is your favourite bullion coin out of the ones that I've shown today. But that's pretty much all I've got time for today. But before I go, I would just like to take this opportunity to once again thank the sponsors of this video, Cardiff Gold. And if you're in the market for finding beautiful silver, just like this 2024 Britannia right here, I highly recommend checking out their website, the link to which will be included in the description of this video. But with that being the case, I've probably rabbled on enough for now, so I am going to leave you all by saying, until next time, as always, look after each other, keep stacking, take care, and goodbye.